Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I do hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video, which is Back to Basics 11, learning how to use external flight planners. Things like Simbrief, as I've got up here, probably the most popular external flight planner out there. I'm going to show you how you can set up a simple flight, which will give you suggested routes based on real-world routes, flight routes, I believe. And then how to input these into your aircraft of choice. In my case, it's going to be the 146 Professional by Just Flight. How to input these routes, the flight routes, both manually and automatically as well. So let's not hesitate. Let's get on with the video. Okay, so let's start off on the Simbrief homepage. So when you're loading Simbrief for the first time, you'll probably be here. I've got an account set up. If you haven't used it, you won't. Just go to a box here called Login. It will say, come up with a page. Simbrief is now owned by Navigraph. It is free to register for Simbrief, not so much for Navigraph if you want all the charts, apparently. But you can for Simbrief. Just go to, on that page, it will say create an account here. Very simple, username, password, email, and alias, just a few boxes to fill out, and then log in. Once you've done that, come to the home page here, and we'll go to Dispatch. In this drop-down menu, Dispatch System. From here, we'll just go to this big icon, Create a New Flight. Now, there's lots of different confusing looking boxes here. There's only a few of them you have to fill out, in fact. It's not that confusing. Your airline is your airline code, and your flight number is your flight number. You pretty much put what you want to in there. But for the airline code, I'm going to be flying in the 146 in this video, an Aer Lingus aircraft. So I'm going to be accurate with the airline identifier. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a Google page here. Let's just go back to where I was, back to the home page. I was playing around with this, just bear with me. This is Google Flights. If you want to book a real-world flight, you can do it from here if you want to. But it's handy because it will give you some identifiers for aircraft and flight numbers. It doesn't matter about the date particular. We can put that. Let's just say on Monday, this coming Monday. That's fine. London to Belfast. So it just searched for the flights from London to Belfast, and it's the Aer Lingus aircraft that I'm after, and the Aer Lingus icon is here. So I can click on that. Probably have to click again. Indeed, I do. And then click once again to get the information. There we go. And the information, I'm not bothered about the actual flight itself. The information I want is this last part. EI, that's the airline identifier. And 931 is the flight. Let's use that, EI 931. Back to Simbrief, so EI. You can see this drop-down box here. It's because I've already typed this in previously. I've tested this out. If you haven't, you won't get that box. So let's ignore that box that's just come up, and I'll just type in EI again. And my flight number was different last time. You see, 931. This time, that's fine. Was it 931? It was. Just checking. Departure airport. I want to take off from EGLC. Oh, I can click that, but type it in if you don't, if this is your first time using it. And arrival, let's type this one in, EGAC, that's George Best Airport in Belfast. Alternate, it's on automatic, and it will give us an automatic alternate, which is Manchester, EGCC. Time, doesn't really matter, let's put that time forward, doesn't really matter for now. Airframe, your aircraft type. Now, I don't want to confuse this, but I do have a couple of aircrafts. You can basically go to My Fleet and set up a couple of aircraft. One of them is for the 146. The other one's for the Concorde, which is not actually showing in this drop-down menu. So airframe, if you try and find Concorde here, unless I'm, apart from the top ones, because I've got it saved, unless I'm mistaken it's not in there, I just googled it and someone had a profile set up. So if I want to fly Concorde with Simbrief in the future, I can just go to that Concorde profile. I'm flying the 146 today, so I'll scroll down on this drop-down menu and choose the 146-300 series, which is what I'll be flying. That'll do for now. You know what? That's pretty much all you have to do to set up a flight. The only other thing, you can leave these advanced aircraft options unless you want to change them, and these here, optional entries, unless you want to change them, you can leave them. You'll get suggested routes which are based on real-world routes, apparently. So it's given me 4 here, and on this map you can see the routes. This one flying up here, going to Belfast. Can't land at Belfast, it will come back to Manchester. Some of them are pretty complex with lots of nav points, waypoints. The 4th one only has a few nav points, as you can see here. So it's the one I'm going to choose, and as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward flight from London to Belfast. So that's the one I'm going to choose. So pretty much all I had to do there was type in the airline identifier, flight number, departure and arrival, and the time and date. And then just choose your airframe and choose one of those routes. Very, very simple. Okay, so once you've got all that set up, you're happy with the route, you can just go to Generate Flight. I've got one saved already, so it will overwrite that. Just be aware. You can save flights as well, but this is generating over the previous one I did. So that's now all set, it's all generated. So what I'll do now is jump into Microsoft Flight Simulator, load up the 146 Professional, and show you how you can input this both manually and automatically. So let's go do that. Okay, I'm going to start us off on the world map here, because I'm going to show you a different way. If you don't have an airliner FMS system and you want to fly that route that we typed into Simbrief, you can still do it. You just need to select your departure airport, set as departure, and your arrival airport. Let's just type this in, EGAC, George Best, Belfast. And set as arrival. There we go, I just got a straight line. What you need to do now is click on the More button down here. Click that. Click on Open Filters. And then this will be at the top. Scroll all the way down in this window till you get to Navigation. And turn on Nav Aids. And close that. And what I'm going to do, let's just switch you back to the Simbrief page. This part here, make a note of. Forget the first part, I believe that's a start. I'll show you that later when I'm in the 146 FMS system. But the rest of them, the 3 numerals, or the 3 letter codes rather, these 3 letter nav points, make a note of each of them. Go back to your sim. And you could start typing in those different waypoints. So let's do the first one. BPK. I'm just showing you this for reference in case you want to fly it, that route, in something different. Once you've typed in the first waypoint, or nav point, waypoint in fact, look under waypoints here and the BPK underneath it with the square next to it. That's the one you want. That's the waypoint. Click on that. And click Add. We can do another one. Why not DTY? That's the next one. DTY. Again, waypoint. DTY underneath it. Click on it. And we can add that to our flight plan, etc, etc. Then we can go and fly, add the rest in, and fly the route that way. And it will be set up in our flight planner. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just showing you it is feasible. So let's just reset that. And we'll get back down to London City. Set off from runway 27. And let's go fly. Okay, so I'm set up in the beautiful 146 in the Aer Lingus livery. Let's just get in the cockpit there. And I'll press the button to take me to my tablet. I'll link the video I did about the 146, and that will link you to videos about custom views and goodness knows what. In the tablet here, now this is with the 146 Professional, and I believe a couple of other aircraft, and most likely, upcoming aircraft as well, you get a tablet. And on this second option here, at least in this aircraft, it tells you there, please enter your Simbrief pilot ID below. That's mine. Let me just switch you to Simbrief and show you, oops, press the wrong button there, but never mind. I'll just switch you to Simbrief and show you on the flight plan that you set up. If you scroll down a little bit, just a little bit from the top there, you will see pilot ID. That's mine. You can't use it unless you have my username and password, or password at least. So it doesn't matter me showing you this. Yours will be different. Make a note of it. Let's just go back to the sim. And let's get out of this. What happened there? Never mind, let's go back to that page. So you can see it's entered already because I've been using it. But enter your number there and just press continue. And it will load into the tablet at least your flight plan. So I have all the different waypoints here. Origin and destination airport there, of course. And even things like block fuel and weights, and you can start messing around with that with the aircraft settings here as well if you want to. Don't worry about things like DCT. This just means direct to, basically. Or direct to, yes. You can see there's quite a few of them. Take out those DCTs. That's exactly the same as Simbrief flight plan. As you can see there. Oops, not there. There. As you can see there. Poor OBS, it's going to crash on me if I keep doing this. So that's our flight plan. It's loaded into the tablet, but not into the flight management systems. We're going to have to do this. There's two ways of doing this. You can actually load it in automatically, directly, or you could type it in yourself. Let me show you the manual input first. Keep in mind, this is what for the 146. Any other aircraft you're flying, the Concorde, the A320, slightly different the way you type in flight plans, but similar in some ways as well. What I'll do, I'll go to my flight plan page, and I'll type in my origin airport, which if you remember, EGLC, London City Airport. It will type in here. As you type in, the letters will come up here. Just click the button next to your origin. It will put it up there. And destination, EGAC, EGAC, and again, button next to your destination. It's flight management system. All it's got is a direct route from EGLC to EGAC. Do you remember that first waypoint? I said to you I'll show you that. I believe that's a star. Let me just get back to my tablet here. This first one. Let me show you how you would enter this, at least in the 146. Be similar in other aircraft. The buttons may be differently laid out, that's all. Just go to your departure arrival. And as you can see here, select your departure runway, runway 27, and then choose departure here, BPK 1A, which is that first waypoint in Simbrief. Select that, press execute, and if we go back to flight plan, that will now be entered in our flight route. We can confirm this, go to legs, and you'll see a few different legs of that star set up there. Go to your next page. So sorry, let me just slow down. I was in flight plan. We got our origin and destination airport with that via. We've just entered there from the departure arrival. We just selected that one. So that's in. From here, go to your legs page. Button here, legs. And you can go next and previous through these pages. So we'll go to the next page. From that last waypoint, it's just going to go straight to George Best Airport. So we can start typing in now the rest of our flight plan, which is here. Ignore the DCTs, just the one BPK, DTY, HON, SWB, etc., etc. Now the way I'm going to do this, so I don't keep switching these screens and making you dizzy, I'm just going to refer myself to my Simbrief, which is on a different screen. So next one is BPK, so I could type that in. BPK. And just press the button here where it's got a line. It'll be different for each different aircraft, this. I know it's very different in the Concorde and A320. But just maybe watch 1 or 2 videos on how to set them up, how to enter information into the flight management system. But for this one, I've got BPK typed in. Where it's got a line here, these dashes, I'm going to press the button next to it. And it will come up with a couple of options. Choose the top one as it will be nearer. And that's the one we want, I believe. And that's now entered into our flight plan. So let's go to our next waypoint, which is DTY. So DTY, DTY, and again, enter it where you got those dashes. And that's now entered in. Let's go to our next one, which is Hon. I believe that's Honolly. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Hon. And press that button again here. Now again, it's going to come up with a few different options. Typically choose the top one, as that'll be the nearest one. So that's all entered. You see now we've got no more dashes. We're going to have to go to the next page to get to the point where we can see those dashes again. So the next one along from Honolly would be SWB. There is an easier solution to this. I'm just showing you how you type it in manually. SWB. And type it in. Go to the previous page. You can see SWB has now gone in there. Go to the next page again to get those dashes up. Let's just see. SWB wall will be next one. Almost there. Type it in where the dashes is again. And that should be fine. And the last one, IOM. IOM. Rewind this video if this has gone too quickly for you. I've tried to go slow, but not too slow that people are just going to turn off. I'm going to insert that. So that's now our flight plan set up. We can go to our legs page here just to check. So that's our star. Then it will start to go into BPK, DTY, Honolly, SWB, wall. The only other thing we need to do again, once we're up in the air, nearer to the airport, more than likely, is click on the departure arrival button, which I just did. Let's do that again for you. So I'm back on the flight plan page. Click on departure arrival. Click it again. And then you can select arrival and select a star and ILS, a runway to land at. Not going to do that. I'm not quite sure which way. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and make this a tutorial flight. Maybe another video in the Back to Basics series, how to fly an airliner or transition into an airliner. But that's generally how you would type and manually type your flight plan in, at least at the 146. Similar for other aircrafts. You may just have to watch a video or two to see how it's done properly with them. Last thing you should do, of course, is execute that flight plan. People were probably shouting at me there. Execute, execute. I know, I know. And there you go. That's all executed and inputted into our FMS. Let me now show you how you can actually load your Simbrief flight plan in automatically in the 146. Okay, so let's show you how you can do this automatically now. Now, I've just typed in on the tablet here, just put my Simbrief in again. So that's fine. It's loaded it in on a tablet, but not into the FMS. Nothing's loaded in. We go to flight plan, nothing's loaded in yet. So the way to do this, you've got a button here called index. Click on that. This is in the 146 at least. Maybe possible in other aircraft, but it would be likely different the way you do this. So in the index menu, go to your next page. And then go to route menu. And on route menu here, now mine's already typed in, but it will ask you to type in. It says something like there's no pilot ID, or type in your pilot ID. Just type your pilot ID in it. Again, just to remind you, on your Simbrief, your pilot ID, scroll down from the top just a little bit till you get to pilot ID here. It's what you put in on the tablet, same one. Let's go back to the sim. Just type that in, so you can type that in manually. I mean, it's here already for me, but if it wasn't, I'll just type it in. 7784. And then there'll be a button here where you can press to enter it in there. Let's just clear that so I don't confuse the FMC, because mine's already in. It's in because I've already tested it, and it seems to stay in once you put it in, which is good. Once that's in, this button will highlight in white, so you can click on Recall, Flight Plan Recall. And it will start loading it. Similar to the way when we manually entered it, it'll ask us on certain waypoints which one do you want to choose. BPK, remember the top one. Again, it should come up for Honolulu in a moment. Or Hon, rather. There you go. Top one again. It will load in. Let it finish. Flight plan loaded. Execute that. And that's loaded in without us typing it in manually from your Simbrief, basically. Only thing you can see here via direct, that's not the star that we typed in before. You have to go to your departure arrival button again and select that BPK1A and execute again. And if we go to flight plan, you can see now that via that star is now entered in. Go to our legs page. You can see the rest that we had before are all entered in. We just need to put our arrival, our sit-in, later on. So that's how you can do it automatically, or from the FMC without typing in each leg. Well, listen, that's my Back to Basics Series 11, or Episode 11. Using an external flight planner and learning how to use one. Let me know your thoughts. Give the video a like if it's been useful to you. Let me know your comments down below. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon.